The door didn't slam, it clicked. Quiet, cold. Final. I stood there holding the envelope with shaking fingers. The thank you card. That's it. No ribbon. No warmth. Just 5 words written in my mother's perfect cursive. You're just the backup daughter. I paused. Let the air cut through my ribs like glass. It was never really open for me anyway. I'm Rachel Morgan. And no matter where this moment finds you, don't blink, just stay. Ever been let in just so they could shut you out again? So they could watch the light leave your face and call it your fault? We were at my sister's wedding. White roses, soft violins, golden chandeliers. The kind of event people post with hashtags like #FamilyForever. I stood on the edge of the ballroom in a navy dress I bought on clearance. Not that anyone noticed. Not with Eliza, the golden daughter, floating through the room like royalty. She was glowing. And why wouldn't she be? She just got a 6-bedroom house in the suburbs, gifted during the toast. Dad raised a glass and announced it like a game show prize. She's always been our pride, he said. Mom dabbed her eyes like it was the Oscars. And then they turned to me. I hope you liked your card, Rachel, Mom said with that tight smile she saves for me, the one that pretends to be love but smells like pity. People clapped. Someone even laughed. I opened the card again, read the words again, and then I smiled. Because tucked inside my purse was something no one expected. The deed to their house. The one they'd spent 25 years paying off. The one I quietly bought from under them last month when I found out it had fallen into default. I took a sip of champagne, walked to the head table and gently placed the card beside the wedding cake. Then I said loud enough for the room to hush. You may want to sit down, Mom. And what followed? Well, let's just say fairy tales have a way of turning dark, when the forgotten daughter decides she's done being forgettable. Her fork clinked against the champagne flute just as her knees buckled. Gasps broke out across the hall. Mom gripped the edge of the table, face draining white, like the chandelier light had vanished just for her. Rachel, Dad barked. What the hell are you doing? I didn't flinch. I didn't need to raise my voice. I just wanted to return the favor, I said, holding up a folded document. Since you thought a thank you card was enough for me, here's mine. I placed the official letter of transfer beside the flower arrangement. The notary stamp gleamed like gold. You lost the house 3 months ago. Didn't check the lien. I paid it off. It's mine now. Legally, publicly, mine. The silence was biblical. My sister, Eliza, picture-perfect bride in ivory lace, stepped forward. Wait, what are you talking about? That's not even possible. That's their house. It was, I replied. The room started spinning for them. But I was still anchored. 28 years of invisible bruises were finally peeling off. Let's rewind. 3 months ago I found a foreclosure notice while helping clean out their garage. I wasn't supposed to see it. But I did. And instead of confronting them, I made a plan. I cashed in my 401k, drained my savings and negotiated the debt like a stranger. Because that's what I'd always been to them, a stranger living in the shell of a daughter. They thought I'd never amount to anything. Backup daughter, remember? So I played backup, quiet, unassuming, invisible until it mattered. Dad's face turned red. You've been planning this? To humiliate us? On your sister's wedding day? I looked him dead in the eye. You taught me something important, Dad. That family is conditional. That love is earned through usefulness. So I stopped trying to earn it, and bought the one thing you thought was untouchable. Mom tried to speak but choked. Her mascara was streaking. Rachel, we can fix this. We didn't mean it. Didn't mean which part? I asked. Calling me the backup? Giving my sister a house while you sent me a card. Eliza reached out like she could undo it all with a tearful pout. But that was the thing, I wasn't angry anymore. I was awake. And I wasn't done yet. The ballroom air turned thick like time had started holding its breath. Behind me a waiter dropped a tray. Someone whispered, "Is this real?" But I only saw my mother, hands trembling, clinging to her wine glass like it could anchor her to the life she thought she had. Eliza's husband, fresh from the vows, wide-eyed in disbelief, leaned toward her. "Did you know about this?" She shook her head too fast, the way liars do when they haven't had time to invent the lie. I stepped away from the table. Let them sit with it. Let the truth echo off the crystal glasses and imported floral arches. But I wasn't finished. I gave you a chance, I said to them calmly. To show up for me just once. To act like I mattered. Even just a fraction as much as she did. Eliza's lip quivered. Rachel, this is insane. Is it? I cut in. Or is it just the first time your actions had consequences? They all stared like I'd slapped them. But what no one in that room knew, not even Eliza, was what was coming next. You see, the house I'd just claimed wasn't empty. 3 days earlier I had boxed up their things. Carefully. Respectfully. Stored it all at a nearby facility. I changed the locks. Rented it out to a small nonprofit that shelters single mothers. Signed a 6-month lease with a renewable clause. They moved in that morning. My parents didn't even know yet. They still thought the house was theirs. That their keys would still work. That their bed would still be there when they got back. Eliza got a house, I said, my voice low but sharp. So did someone else. A woman named Lana and her daughter Maya. She works 2 jobs. She lost her place when rent spiked. They'll be sleeping in your master bedroom tonight. Mom clutched her chest. Dad stood up like he might throw something, but no one moved to stop me. No one dared. As everyone knew. This wasn't vengeance. This was accounting. And for once in their lives, they were on the losing end of the math. I turned. I walked past the stage. Past the stunned guests. And as I reached the door I looked back and said, "Don't worry. You'll get a card too." The parking lot was quiet, like the world outside hadn't caught up to the chaos I left behind. I leaned against my car, hands still trembling, but not from fear. From freedom. For the first time in my life I wasn't waiting for someone to pick me. To call me worthy. To say, "We see you now." They saw me, oh they saw me. My phone buzzed. A message from Eliza. "How could you do this to Mom?" Not Dad. Not us. His mom. Even now she was the nucleus. The fragile pearl in the shell of our family's lies. Always protected. Always adored. Even when she broke me piece by piece. I didn't reply. Dad, I drove. Not home, because my apartment was never home. It was a storage unit for my loneliness. A shoebox of rejection painted with Pinterest quotes. I drove to the house. My house. And when I got there, Lana was on the porch holding a toolbox. Her daughter Maya waved at me shyly from the window. They were already making it theirs. Watering the half-dead hydrangeas, sweeping the steps. She walked over. "Hey Rachel, right?" "Yeah. I still can't believe this is real. We thought it was a scam. I mean, a house like this." She looked around, misty-eyed. "It's a miracle." I nodded, swallowing the lump rising in my throat. "You don't owe me anything," I said quietly. "You just reminded me what people look like when they're grateful." That was enough. She touched my arm gently. "No one's ever done something like this for us." I smiled. "Well, they have now." We stood there, the sun dipping behind the house. The same house my parents had once locked me out of during a storm when Eliza needed space. The same house I cried outside of, age 17, in the rain, holding a report card they never looked at. But tonight, laughter drifted through its windows. And it wasn't Eliza's perfect voice. It was Maya's. Joy. Real joy. Living inside walls that once muted mine. And that's when it hit me. I hadn't taken their house. I'd set it free. I stayed on the porch long after Lana and Maya went inside. The porch light buzzed softly, a sound I hadn't heard since childhood. Back then it meant safety. Now it meant something better. Closure. Then my phone rang. I let it buzz until it went to voicemail. Then again. And again. I finally answered on the 4th call. "Rachel." His voice was already cracking. "You had no right." "No," I cut him off. "You had no right. I just had receipts. You don't understand what this looks like." "I do," I said. "It looks like the moment your lies finally got priced out." He went silent. "Where are you?" he asked, his voice smaller now. We need to talk. Your mother's not well." I closed my eyes. The guilt tried to crawl up my throat, like it always had. But I pushed it back down. "Tell her this," I said. "Tell her that maybe if I'd mattered to her even half as much as her image did, she'd still have a door to walk through." I hung up. It was the first time I'd ever done that. Ended the conversation. On my terms. An hour later I got a text. From my mother. Just 4 words. "We didn't mean to." And I almost laughed. Because for years, meaning to had been her shield. "I didn't mean to forget your birthday. "I didn't mean to miss your graduation." I didn't mean to say that. But she always did. They always did. And I always let it slide, until now. I blocked her number. No long speech. No dramatic send-off. Just silence, the kind they used to weaponize against me. And then, I did something no one in my family had ever seen me do. I celebrated myself. I took myself out to dinner. Ordered dessert first. And when the waiter asked, "Is this a special occasion?" I smiled and said, "Yeah." I buried the version of me that needed them to love me. I woke up the next morning to headlines. Bride's wedding ends in family property scandal. Viral video captures showdown. Someone had filmed it. Of course they had. My voice. My mother's collapse. The moment I handed over the deed, it was all online now. Hundreds of thousands of views. Thousands of comments. "She's my hero." That's how you serve cold justice. If this ever happened to you, say same in the comments. For the first time in my life, people were listening. But not everyone was clapping. There was a knock on my door. A soft one, too polite. Too familiar. I opened it and there she stood, Eliza. Mascara-free, flats instead of heels, her veil traded for an old college hoodie. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to see," she said, voice tight. "You're not wrong." She looked past me into the house. "They're staying with us now. In the apartment. Mom won't get out of bed. Dad's furious. He says you've ruined everything." I folded my arms. "And what do you say?" She hesitated. Then, I say, "I get it. I didn't before. I really didn't. I thought you were just bitter or dramatic." She looked me in the eye, finally. But I went back through everything. The birthdays. The holidays. The way they always put me in the center. And you in the corner. Silence. "They called me the golden child," she whispered. "But it turns out, gold blinds you." A part of me wanted to slam the door. The other part remembered being kids. How we used to share a bunk bed and secrets before it all turned cold. She held out a small velvet box. "I know it doesn't fix anything. But it's yours." Inside was the necklace I gave her when I was 16, the one she said she lost. "You kept it." She nodded. "I didn't want to forget you." For a second I almost softened. But then I remembered, love isn't an eraser. It's a choice. And she'd chosen wrong for years. I closed the box. "You can stay for tea," I said. "But you leave before sunset." She blinked. "Why?" "Because this house is mine. And I'm learning how to protect what's mine now." Eliza sat at the kitchen table, cupping her tea like it might explain everything for her. "This place feels different," she said, eyes scanning the room. "Like the air's lighter." "It is," I said. "It's not carrying guilt anymore." She looked down. "I never meant to hurt you." There was again, that phrase. Like intent could erase impact. But I didn't correct her. I just let the silence bloom. She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. Slid it across the table. "What's this?" I asked. "A check. $22,000. I know it's not much compared to what you spent, but it's my savings. Our honeymoon fund. I want you to have it." I stared at her. "For what?" "For the years you spent trying to earn what was already yours." I didn't pick it up. I didn't say thank you. Because the apology wasn't the check. It was showing up without a crown. We sat there until the sun started to drop low behind the blinds. And then she said something that cracked the last frozen part of me. "You were never the backup, Rachel. You were the blueprint. I just got handed the keys to a kingdom you built from the scraps." A tear slipped down my cheek before I could stop it. But I didn't hide it this time. Because I was done being ashamed of needing love. When she stood to leave, she looked at me like she was afraid to break the spell. Will I ever be allowed back? I walked her to the door. "Maybe," I said. "When you learn to knock first." She nodded. This time she didn't ask for a hug. She just left. And I turned the lock. That night I opened every window in the house. Let the wind sweep through like a baptism. I framed the card they gave me, "You're just the backup daughter," and pinned it above my desk. Not as a wound. As a reminder. Even spare parts can build empires. 3 months later the house had changed. Lana and Maya had found permanent housing, thanks to the nonprofit. Before they left, they painted the kitchen yellow and left me a note on the fridge. "This place gave us more than shelter. It gave us dignity. Thank you for giving us what no one gave you. I kept the note. Because it reminded me, revenge hadn't been about rage. It had been about reclamation. About taking the version of me they buried, and breathing life back into her. My parents tried to contact me again. Letters, calls, even a church friend showing up with baked goods and guilt. But I stayed quiet. Sometimes the loudest revenge is a peaceful life they can't access. I started writing again. Real estate blogs at first, then essays. One of them went viral. The day I gave away the house that tried to erase me. Thousands of women reached out. So many backup daughters. So many invisible sons. So many people who were waiting for permission to say, I deserved more. I didn't just close a chapter, I published it. And one fall afternoon, as I sat on the porch with the yellow leaves tumbling like gold confetti around me, I got a knock on the door. It was my landlord from my old apartment. I thought you should know, he said, smiling. Someone's trying to buy your old unit. They asked if you'd left a forwarding address. Did I? He laughed. I told them. She moved up. Way up. I looked out at the neighborhood. The house I owned. The peace I earned. The silence finally kind. And I whispered to myself. I didn't burn the bridge. I just stopped swimming back to people who watched me drown. Then I went inside. Lit a candle. And closed the final file on my desk. No drama. No final explosion. Just peace. The kind of peace they'll never understand, because you can't fake a home you never built. I was never the backup. I was the foundation.